No?
Okay.
Yeah, so now we're
not.
10 people.
Okay, now it's working.
Now it's working.
Hello, guys. Welcome. We're live from Sant Cugat in Sandwiches, and we have the great Xavi here today with us. So, as we are waiting for everyone to join, please say where you guys are tuning in from. We're from Sant Cugat and the newly Sandwiches that was made in December. We have Xavi here, as I mentioned, and we are, if you didn't know, we are connected to Startup Grind, and Startup Grind is a huge platform of creators, inspirers, founders, and startups, which connects people across 125 countries, and we're here with E3. And our mission is to educate, inspire, and connect entrepreneurs and aspiring entrepreneurs from the future. So today we have Xavi here, and if you could you please introduce yourself and Sandwiches?
Well, I am Xavier Sánchez. I am a ESADE graduate, so for me it's a pleasure to be here with you because I graduated from ESADE in 1988, and I met my wife at ESADE. She is also a ESADE graduate, and I founded with my wife in 2010. So it's 10 years now. We are on our 10th anniversary. We founded Sandwichez, and now we started with one store in 2010, and then we added more stores every year. We were growing every year, and now we have 26 stores. And in 2019, our sales were close to 10 million euros. And because of COVID, this year has been very tough, and our sales have gone down considerably. But we are working with a drive to go ahead and to go ahead, you know.
Yeah. And what was so let's go into right away. What inspired you to start up Sandwiches?
People often people think that entrepreneurs, you get an idea and the day after you start with your everything is about an idea, and I think that it's more important than the idea is the execution, the capacity to execute. That's the main thing about going ahead with anything, you know. And I knew when I was at ESADE that I wanted to be an entrepreneur. To me, it was very clear to me, but before that I wanted to learn, and the way I decided that I had to learn was first working on big companies that I worked for 5 years after graduating from ESADE, and then my wife and I, we decided to go to the US to pursue an MBA, and we were lucky, and we have we were accepted at Harvard, and we could do the MBA at Harvard, which is a big privilege.
Yeah, definitely.
And then when we finished, I still knew I wanted to be an entrepreneur. I didn't interview with anybody after the MBA, but I decided that at the time that I was in the US, I experienced how Starbucks was beginning. Starbucks was a company from the west coast of the US, and they were expanding to the east coast.
Yeah.
So when the first Starbucks that was open in Boston, I was there. So I saw that how they expanded, how they opened many units in Boston, and I said, this is what I like. I want to work on this. And that was in 1994, more or less.
So you would say that Starbucks sort of inspired you in that way?
Yes.
Yeah.
But the way of the industry, more than the concept itself, you know. And then when I came back in '95 to Barcelona, I said, well, I want to work on this, but I have to learn the business from inside, and I have to learn in somebody else's shoes, you know. And I went to 5 or 6 small companies where I thought it was very convenient for me to learn. And one of them hired me, and then my initial idea was to be there for a couple of years, but instead of 2 years, I spent 12 years with them. So I had the possibility to learn quite a bit about the industry, and in 2010, in 2008, I left the company. 2009, I prepared how Sandwichez had to be. I made a business plan that was just for me to put in order all my ideas, and then we started on 2010. That was the big crisis previous to the current one.
And when doing this business plan, did you always have in mind the kind of company that you expect to become? Like, did you expect to have, let's say, a family company, or a startup, or a potential multinational?
My idea was that the concept that I wanted to create, I focus on one store, but it had to be something that could grow. My idea, if I had wanted to create one restaurant, it would be completely different as Sandwichez is, My idea was to create something that was expandable, that we could open many stores, but I didn't had a plan like we want. You have to go step by step. The first one is create a concept, then start to expand it in a city, for instance, and then maybe, I don't know, if one day we will go to other places, but now we think that our place is here.
Yeah. And would you say that you always had in mind to create a concept like Sandwichez, and that developed over your working experiences?
Yes, and for us, something that is very important, if you take a look on our website, it's very well explained. Our main, it explains that our philosophy, it talks about 5 areas. One of them is that we want to be like the main place in every neighborhood. We are a place of neighborhoods. We are not in the main streets in Barcelona. We try to have like the best location in a neighborhood. And then that's one thing. The second one is about quality of product. We have higher above the standard. Our quality is high. We don't want to compete on price. If we have to compete on price, I am not interested. We want to do something well done. Number 3 is quality of service. We value very much. We think that our business is about people and how we make a team and how you are well served, and people working at Sandwichez, it's one of the main parts of our proposition. Another one is that we don't franchise. We don't want to franchise. We clearly don't want to franchise. I don't know what would happen in the future, but our idea is that we take our business very seriously, and we don't feel like sharing our brand with anyone else. That's the main thing. And the last one is that we feel that for us it's very important, the pride on the work that is done. We want to make a good job that is good not only for investors, but for everyone, for people, for our team, for our customers, for our neighbors, for the investors. It has to make sense for everyone to make a project sustainable.
Sure. And now thinking back the moment you were planning to do again the company, would you have liked to know anything before creating Sandwichez? Is there any advice you would even give yourself nowadays?
An advice for other people?
No, for yourself. Like any, let's say, anything you would like to know before you created Sandwichez that you now know.
Well, to me, people sometimes they tell me, "Oh, you have been very quick because you have 26 stores so quick." Well, I have been that quick or how brave you are that you have opened so many stores. And I tell them, well, look how brave I am that I didn't start my first store until I was 45. So I had a lot of years learning. So when I started,
Sure.
I knew a little bit. You never know everything. You never know everything because things change every day, and every day you have to learn something, and you have to adapt to the new situations. But I mean, I was quite experienced, and this is one of the pros that, you know, when you start, there are many things that you have learned before, you know.
Yeah.
And how did you know what to learn?
Well, I wanted to know the basics of the industry.
Yeah.
I wanted to know business strategy or business, and to go to the US to understand the world of business from the American point of view. And well, so I have been learning all my life.
And would you say that then, when you lived in Boston, would you say that there's something that you learned there or experienced there that has influenced your brand in sandwiches?
Yes, absolutely, yes.
Could
I
you
mean,
name maybe
I would
something?
recommend for anyone to go to the US for some time, and if you can go to an American university also, you know, because I think that it's a different perspective of how the world works. I mean, to me, it was it's a main, I am another person since I went there, you know.
And
Yeah.
in what way did that experience, is there a specific thing
Yeah.
that you can mention that really influenced
One
your
of the
brand?
things, talking about entrepreneurship, uh, here my feeling is that entrepreneurs many people have the idea that if you start a business, it's because you want to be rich, if you want to be rich, you are not a good man, and you are selfish, and you are want to make, and you know.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
I
yeah.
don't agree with that. I mean, the people who take projects ahead, you have to make the good for anyone. If not, it doesn't work, you know. And for instance, in the university, what people admire here is working for a monopoly, being a I don't know. There are so many things that are more prestigious than an entrepreneur, and in the US, I would say that the main thing, everyone wants to be an entrepreneur. You know, the cool thing is to be an entrepreneur.
So
When I go to my friends or my classmates, I see how they see what I am doing. My classmates from ESADE or my classmates in the US, and in the US they are like, wow, you are you are doing the coolest, you know. And in Spain it's not like this.
Yeah.
They
So
see, oh, you don't have a job, so you started something. No, it's not the thing, you know.
do you say it's a mentality change, the thing that's a cultural difference in
Yes.
terms of mentality, right? So then thinking of the time you graduated from ESADE, um, what things could you say or could you name that you learned in ESADE, your ESADE time?
Yes. It's a long time. No, I have very good memories of ESADE for sure. I
Yes.
mean, and I was coming from a small town outside Barcelona, you know. So I was like coming to the city. To me, it was I learned everything at ESADE. I have very good memories, and it was like
Your first step?
yes, getting into the business. I was the first in my family to go to the university, so to me it was a big thing, you know.
Yeah, sure.
And I met my wife there, so it's
Yeah.
the most important years in my life, probably.
Sure.
And as you built up your brand, starting from ESADE, of course, you had to follow that path. What now? So in our audience today, there are a lot of future entrepreneurs, hopefully, and they're very eager to learn from you. What advice would you give them in terms of how do you figure out how to create a brand?
Look, about being an entrepreneur, two things.
Okay.
One is about being an entrepreneur. One of the advices is, and I have heard it from a friend of mine, and he gives speeches about life, and he says, an entrepreneur. People think that wow, how it's so cool because you do what you want.
Yeah.
And being an entrepreneur is not like that.
Yeah.
Many times you have to do things that you don't like. No, and this is the toughest part, that you have to deal with things that they have to be done, and you don't like them. I mean, overall, when I see the pros and the cons, I wouldn't change for nothing to be an entrepreneur. For me, it's much better than anything. It's the motivation, everything. It's uncomparable,
Yeah,
you know.
of course, yeah.
But there are many things that you have to do that are not cool, you know.
Yeah.
That's one thing. And then you said about building the brand.
Yeah. What advice do you give people? Like, how did you build your brand, and what advice can you give people to do that?
Well, to me, creating the brand was very important. I mean, I give a lot of import. By the way, it was the first money that was spent on the project was hiring a brand creator,
specialist,
a brand specialist to create the brand. So
Yeah.
to me, when I left my previous company and I spent like 1 year preparing the Sandwichez project, and I spent my time in three things. One was making a business plan.
Yeah.
I wrote a business plan that was just for me. I didn't want to show it. I show it just to my 3 or 4 closest friends, you know, to get a sense of what they advice from them, you know. That's one thing. The second, but I didn't have to make a business plan for investors to get into the project. I didn't want investors at the beginning, you know. The second one was creating a brand. So I went to a specialist that helped me creating the brand, and it was the first money I spent. And the third one was I hired a cook that came once a week to my home, and we started making the main skeleton of the menu.
Okay.
And we started to see like different suppliers, and we're
To ensure
trying.
the quality.
Yes,
Yeah.
but it was just the start to start with a menu, you know.
Yeah.
But I knew it was not, because it was something that had to be changed forever. But we needed to have something from the initial.
And would you recommend, for example, for someone that doesn't know anything about restaurants or this sector, to build their brand in this sector? Do you think they need a prior knowledge?
I think what I said before is, what I think that it's more than a brand, the most important thing to me is capacity of execution. How you execute is key to the success of any project, you know. And then if you have I mean, what I have been learning so many years before I start is this capacity of execution, you know. How things are, something that I learned in the US. I don't know how ESADE is today. I am sure that they will have improved. But for instance, the course on operations at my time was very it was like mathematical.
Oh, okay.
Analytics.
Yes, I mean,
Yes.
I didn't understand anything, you know. When I went to the US, we did operations, and to me, it was like opening my mind about what operations means, you know. And I think that how if a company is well designed from the operating side, that is extremely important for the success of a venture.
Yeah, so as you're saying, execution is key.
Execution
That's
is
what you're
key.
saying, right? And so as you said earlier, we have that you really worked hard on grounding those values about quality. How do you make sure, because you have 26 cafes, right? How do you make sure that all of those values are actually attained within the cafes?
Well, this is something that is easy said and not always. Also, in a growing company that like we are, we have been going through different steps, you know, and in each step, the company is different. You know, at the beginning, I had to do it on my own, you know, and
really?
I had to do many things on my own from the very bottom. As you grow, you bring more people to the team, and it's a different company, in different size of company. So you have to hire people. Some people enjoy their work, others they don't fit that well, you know. And it's something.
And how did you deal with that?
You go creating step by step.
So
A good thing that we have is that our operations COO, the operations guy, he was working with me on the other company, so we have been together for more than 20 years. So we know very well each other, and we have experience, and some of the things that we learned on our previous company are here from the very beginning, you know. So there's a lot of things that are easier than we learned before, and you don't have to learn them. Well, like operations, the kind of people that you hire, how to get the information. We have a very strong information systems. I would say probably one of the best in the industry.
So you would say that
we have tools that we have learned over years that when Sandwichez starts, we go with it from the very beginning.
Yeah, and that's how you ensure that your brand is actually the same in every cafe.
That is the thing that about having good tools is that it makes it easier, you know, and easier to control and easier to learn, to teach to people, you know. That doesn't mean that it will work, you know. I mean, still it's a matter of going for it and to take care of everything and to be there every day, you know. Our business is not a difficult business, but it's a business that it has a lot of little details, you know, and to take care of all these little decisions every day in every store, in every hour, that's the difficult part of the.
And all these details, like I suppose you have to differentiate from competitors with marketing and all this science behind marketing. So, what makes you different from competitors? How do you use marketing to differentiate? You know.
And as I said, marketing is one side of the equation. I mean, it's very. I mean, to have a good differentiation from the marketing side, it's important to have a good operating difference from the operating side, you know.
And a good product as well.
Right? But it's a good product in our industry has a lot to do with a good operation, you know, because we are producing products in each store every day. So. And well, what we for sure, we don't want to be on the competition just for the price. We want to have like a better product. We want to have like products that are made in each store every day. We want to our business, for instance, we don't do advertising. We do some kind of advertising on Instagram or on the social network, but not a formal advertising, you know.
Yeah.
So we are based basically on loyal customers that the places we are basically on neighborhoods, and in your neighborhood, you know what if you like it or if you don't like it, you know, and so you depend on the people on a local area, you know.
Sure. So you're depending on creating a community for each store. This is the main idea.
Yes.
And would you say that you have a main target group?
Well, as as we have evolved,
Mm-hmm.
we have, I mean, we are more for college students or master's students.
Yes.
So it's not for teenagers, although we may have some teenagers, but we are more upscale, let's say. Okay.
But initially, that was not your idea,
well,
or?
yeah, more or less. My idea was to have a concept where everyone would feel comfortable.
Okay.
That was my idea. You know, I didn't want to have something just targeted specifically to someone. You know, I wanted to have something where everybody would feel comfortable and that they value the quality of products, the quality of service, the cleanliness of the space, the comfortability, that you feel comfortable, that the music. It's not only selling one product, but it's a whole experience, you know.
Yeah.
Sure. And I'm sure that one of the main characteristics or main important things is to promote these values that you thought of in the business plan to your employees, right? So
Yes.
what values do you think you're promoting, and how do you ensure these values are among your employees?
Well, my idea on this always is that I like to lead by example. It's not. It's more what you do than what you say. You know, and I always hope that by doing, you create a style of doing, you know, and that people feels comfortable working there, and this is my way of thinking, you know, that to trust your team, to encourage your people. I'm not a kind of going behind you have to do this, you have to do that. I mean, it's to give the tools and let them do.
Yes.
Yeah.
And trust the people, and we trust our team.
Yeah, definitely.
And overall, now you've had such a big success with sandwiches. I as a consumer, I'd say yes.
Okay,
I
thank
have
you.
a lovely juice over here, so I can say so. Looking back now, what do you think is the most challenging thing that you've really experienced? In terms of maybe operation or motivating members of the team?
Yes, it's all, everything. I mean, it's the world changes so quickly that you have to adapt. When I started, for instance, Wi-Fi, which is something that now you would say Wi-Fi has existed forever, you know.
Yeah.
And it was not that far away. It was 2010.
Yeah.
I didn't know what Wi-Fi was. And the
Yeah.
first store, I don't remember having Wi-Fi, you know. And a customer came and he said, "Oh, you should have Wi-Fi." Or for instance, I didn't know what Spotify was, you know, and so many things that. And you have to go and adapt and learn, and you know, and it's the way.
Now more than ever, right? Like for example, the takeaway thing. Then there's
a takeaway, yes.
A new thing, for example.
Yes.
And how do you make sure that you remain flexible in that way that you can adapt?
Yeah.
Is there a way that you make sure that you hear those things?
Yes, and you see what at the beginning, something that I would recommend also for an entrepreneur is to be at the beginning. I was not all the time on the cashier, but I was on attending customers, you know. So if you see the face, you talk with the customer, you get the idea of what they value, what they don't value. For instance, to have all the outlets on the stores, you know. This is something at the beginning we didn't have those, you know. So you have to adapt to what customers demand.
But one really important thing that I personally admire, and I think it's a good idea, is in every store. For example, here you have a box with where people can put recommendations, right?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Wow.
Yes, but this is one of those things that has changed, you know, because
Yeah.
nowadays you have the Google,
Instagram,
the
yes.
Instagram, whatever, you know, so people don't use those
Yeah.
very much, you know.
And do you think now this is worse now because with social media you can see
I-
whatever you want and
I
be,
think this is great, you know.
how you think it's better in
Yes.
terms of okay.
Whatever is openness, clarity, I am open to anything. I mean, I don't have anything to hide.
Very good.
Yes.
Very good. And as you said, it was a whole process from you starting at ESADE and now having your own company.
Yes.
And you also worked at Viena. You were the CEO.
Yes.
Is there something specifically that you learned of being a CEO that you can implement today?
Of course, I was in a company that was very good and very successful locally, so I could learn a lot from the basics
Yeah.
of the industry, and I have a very good memories from that time. And when we started, of course, that many things that I learned were implemented here, of course. Then
Such as?
operating the range of products, what works and what doesn't work, the kind of people that we hire, many things, you know, the size of the store, the places where to open, you know. You are always part of your previous experience.
Yeah.
It's who you are, you
Yeah.
know.
And would you say, so that role of being a CEO and that role of a founder, how can you relate that? How's that different?
What is very you told me before this interview, you told me bring some books that can be helpful to future entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
And I brought one that I recommend, that is the Entrepreneur's Dilemmas, by a professor from Harvard, that is David Wasserman, I think is his name, you know. And he made a book and a course at Harvard that he talks about the dilemmas of an entrepreneur. You know? And one of the dilemmas, the big dilemmas, is when to start your business. Mm-hmm. And you can start young or you can start older, you know. And both options have pros and cons. If you start young, you have less experience, probably you will have less money.
More mistakes.
Probably you will make more mistakes, but the good thing is that you don't have nothing to lose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, and that's a good thing. So you can make you can take higher risks. Okay, because you have nothing to lose. And on my case, I didn't start until I was 45. So I had experience. I could save a little bit of money, so my first stores I could make them on my own savings. But the bad thing is that I had a lot of my backpack was very heavy, you know, because I have 4 kids.
Oh God, yeah.
So to take the decision of leaving a well-paid job, going for a risk of opening a new journey, it's a big thing, you know. Everybody would tell me, no, don't do this, don't do this, don't do this. And at the end, it was like I have to do this because if not, I will be my whole life.
It's your dream.
It's my dream, or it's my, you know. But it's easy said. But as you get older, every time it's more difficult to take the decision, you know.
But then.
And if you have been an executive, you are used that things work because you say do this and things happen, you know, in a big company. When you are in a small company, things don't happen. I mean, you have to make them happen, and it depends on you, you know.
Yeah, and so you would say definitely that maybe more that you, as a founder, you have more responsibility, and as CEO, you are.
Well, I had the feeling that I worked a lot before, I worked a lot after, I have worked a lot all my life. I mean, it's not a matter of, and more responsible or less responsible. I have felt responsible all my life, you know.
That's very
But
good.
the big thing is that you have to do many things that before somebody did them, and now you have to do them, you know. And you need a mindset to do these things, and also you need the support of your closest people, you know, your family. In my case, I was lucky that my wife was very supportive from the very beginning, and we understood what we were doing,
and today she's a CFO.
And then what we did is she was at the project from the very beginning, but at the beginning, you know, we had 4 kids, we couldn't leave both jobs. At the beginning, it was me who left my job, and when we saw that it made sense that we could make a living from this, she left her job and she came with us.
And how's that working together?
Very good.
Team? A good team?
Yes.
Oh, very good. Very good.
It's not a problem. No, well, yes.
And
not a problem at all.
And talking about the future, do you see any trends becoming increasingly important in the restaurant or cafe industry? Because one thing that, by the way, we you know, it's quite adapt as well, is do you see sandwiches more as a restaurant or as a cafe? What kind of concept do you have?
This is one of those things. When we started, our name, when we did the branding, we said Sandwichez. It's clearly the place for sandwiches, you know. But as we evolved, we were more successful on natural juices, on coffee. We took the coffee thing very seriously, and we are very good at coffee. And customers value more for. We are more valued for juices and coffee, and also for salads and
Bowls
and sandwiches, you know. But it's a mix of everything. That at the beginning I would have said that our main thing was sandwiches. You know?
So the product is say the key of everything, right?
It's yes. Well, it's what people buy and what people pay for you. Yes.
Yeah. Do you have any anecdote or anything about like how did you came with a product or something like this?
Well, I may have many, you know, because every product is a different. For instance, we do cappuccino like in Italy. We try to do all the coffee industry has evolved and it is evolving a lot all over the world, you know. But at the beginning, I wanted to do a cappuccino like in Italy. So I tried to do it and I couldn't make it. At the end, I went to, I found somebody who helped me making a good cappuccino, and then at the end we knew, we know how to make it, you know. And the big thing then is how you make the operating procedures that it happens every day, you know. This is not that easy.
So one lesson you would take is that whenever you don't know how to do something, you hire a specialist, right? With the branding and all these things.
Yes. Sometimes yes.
And if we look at now the future of sandwiches, is there a certain vision that you have, or certain trends included?
We always wanted to make a company, a growing company. From day one, we knew we didn't make a concept to have 1, 2, or 3 stores. We wanted to grow. How, until when, I don't know. I think that is you go step by step, and our idea is to keep growing. You know, the big thing is the pandemic. What has happened this year? It has been terrible in our industry. The government has left our industry. You have to close, and you don't have any help at all. And it's a very difficult situation for anyone in the restaurant industry, you know. We are trying to look ahead, working hard to go ahead, doing our homework. We think we will go ahead, but it's a very tough situation that has changed everything. And I don't know what will happen in the future because the world is changing. And many stores will close and competitors. So what will happen? I don't know what will happen with the pandemic. How long will it be like it is today?
Yeah.
I don't know.
But
it's a very tough situation in the sense that uncertainty.
Yeah.
You don't know what's gonna happen next month. You don't know what's gonna happen in 3 months. You don't know what's gonna happen in 1 year.
But your big dream, aside from the pandemic, what's your big dream?
My big dream. Good question. My big dream. What I say, and I think it's on the website. To me, the most important thing is to feel proud of what I made.
Yeah.
That Sandwichez is a strong company. That with the people, with the team that is proud to be working there. That customers that are regulars because they trust the company. That the investors are paid correctly. I don't want to be like the richest in the world at all. But to me, the most important thing is when I feel proud of, it's like for an architect, when an architect makes a nice building, and you are proud of that building that you have made.
So when are you satisfied? Because you can be proud of this already.
I am proud of this already. Yeah. Of course.
But when is there? Do you want to move outside of Barcelona? Is that a goal of yours?
I don't know, because this is something that I am. Yeah, you would say you are proud of it. Of course, I am proud. I'm in some sense. It could be enough for me, but we have a team. We want to grow. Yeah. It's ambition. Yeah. It's nice. It's cool. I mean, it's
great. Yeah.
We have fun doing this. So why should we stop? I have friends that tell me, when will it be enough? I don't know. I mean, that's not the question. I am sorry. I mean, why do I have to stop doing something that I like? I mean, it doesn't make any sense, Or why are you so your ambition is so low? I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we want to keep growing, but now we have our situation today is not about growing, it's about going ahead from this pandemic, which is a very hard situation that I would never have imagined,
No one.
And so this ambition you have for growing and making Sandwichez bigger, how do you ensure that you continue being relevant in the sector, and how do you continue being one of the leaders in trends and all these things?
Well, by working hard every day and trying to be the things correctly, to make the good decisions. Today I was talking with a teammate, and I was saying, in a business, you are taking decisions constantly.
Yeah.
Day after day, you take decisions. If your decisions are right, you are going ahead, and you don't realize why, But the thing is that you have taken good decisions, and in every sense. I mean, in how you open a store, how you decide which kind of people you hire for the team, why you go to Sant Cugat and you don't go to Madrid, for instance. Or we haven't gone. It has been our decision not to open on commercial and malls, in centros comerciales. We didn't want to go there because we don't feel comfortable on those places, And those are decisions that have their second part, If the decisions are right, you go ahead. If you make bad decisions, then you spend a lot of time correcting the decision and spending, so it's
Sure. Yeah.
And now for the audience at home, what is the first step people can take? So we have entrepreneurs sitting at home right now, and maybe they even want to start a business. What would you suggest or give advice to them as to how should they start if they have an idea?
What I think is that the opportunities now are, I think it's the best time probably in history to start businesses.
Okay.
You know, because you have the new technology, you know, there are so many opportunities that the world is changing. I mean, how you sell on the internet, on the Instagram, it's amazing. I mean, how easy or how different it is compared or of how it used to be. And for people of my age, we don't know anything about the new technologies. You know, you are much smarter, used to the technologies. So it's and the world is changing. I mean, and that's for me. That's I can see opportunities everywhere. You know, so it's
such as
I don't know. I mean, you can see on every today. I saw on La Vanguardia there was one that is selling flowers on the internet. Yesterday there was one that is selling furniture on Instagram, and they are growing like crazy. These are. Before it was much more difficult. You had to open a store. You had to the investment. The capital required was higher than today's, you know.
So the first step people...
and because of those venture capitalists, there are money expecting for good projects. I mean, it's money. Before it was a big thing. Now it's a thing, but it's not that important as it used to be.
The first step, if I want to start a business today, what should I think of?
To me, but this is of what I said before of the dilemmas of starting young or starting older. I am
definitely.
one.
Wait a little longer.
No, it's not wait a little. I would say to be. I think it would have been better to start earlier.
Okay.
But I think that it's important to be competent in what to do, in what you do, and you have to learn, and you have to. And as I said before, also it's very important the execution, the capacity of executing well. To me, that's the
Precisely. This is something that someone asked in the chat, and they said, how do you ensure the successful execution? Is there a theory, any business technique or anything you've learned that makes you ensure that you're doing the correct execution?
Well, in my case, if you take a look at all Sandwichez stores, the decoration, people think, oh, one is red, the other one is yellow, and the other one is, and that's cool, and it's very nice, and my idea, this is marketing, that people feel comfortable in one store, you know? But what is important is that how the stores are designed, the 26 stores are operatingly exact. Yeah. It's not more or less how they are designed. They are exactly the same.
You had a really scalable business, let's say.
Yes,
that's the thing.
And it's very well thought from the beginning how to a person. It's easy to make it happen, you know.
So, for example, it would be really easy for an employee in Sant Cugat to go to another store without any.
We do it all the time.
Okay. Yeah. So that's something.
And that is something that is. It seems very easy, but it's not. In many places, it's not. In most places, I wouldn't say is like this.
And are there a few steps that you would go through when you're executing something? Is there that you keep in mind, oh, I have to think of this, this, and this? Or is it a feeling more?
You mean when we design a store?
Yeah, no, but in anything you do, so when you're executing maybe a product, is there something you keep in mind?
Well, when we design a product, one thing is the idea, the other, we say, now from a product, we have for new products, we have a team, and we are have meetings every week with new products, and one of the and we divide like different steps from the initial idea to when the product is on the market, you know, and one of the steps is to make it. We say sandwicher, which is based on our operating way, you know.
Okay.
Yeah.
So and sometimes there are products that could be they could make sense from the market point of view because they could be there could be demand for that kind of products, but it doesn't make sense on our operating system because it would change everything, you know.
Yeah.
So we don't do some products because it doesn't get into our system.
Sure. And in terms of time management, because at the end of the day you have 26 stores, I think, but even though you have a limited time to do things, so is there any key or anything you apply to manage time correctly and to, let's say, keep in touch with every team?
To me, what is very important is to have a strong team and to trust your team. And things have been changing. My job has been changing so much from the beginning, you know. To be in a company from one store is very different from a company with 5 stores, with 10 stores.
How's that different?
And because the first, why there are many good projects with one store that they go until 5 stores, but not more than 5.
And how do you make
because
that?
The entrepreneur has to change, you know, and the entrepreneur at the beginning has to be very work-oriented, like to, I don't know in English how you say, sleeves up and go to the work, you know, but when the company grows, it doesn't make sense that the boss goes sleeps.
Delegate.
You have to delegate. You have to organize your team. You have to make like procedures, and the guy who is good at the beginning, going on everything, is very easy that he's not good delegating, or you know, and to make that transition is not easy, you know, because the first person that has to change is the entrepreneur.
And how did you do that?
Well, to me, the idea it was very clear. I mean,
as you were CEO, it was easier for you to switch into that role.
Maybe for me, it was more difficult to go from, I was a CEO before, to go from zero, you know, and make that change. But I had the idea that I wanted to do that, you know.
Yeah, and do you still think that the U.S. is the point, is where is the example of this industry? Do you still think that they are the leaders in terms of the restaurant sector?
What I think is that the U.S. is the best in terms of management, the professionalism of managing. In general, I would say any industry, they are very professional. You know? They are extraordinary executors, I would say, you know. And in terms of developing new concepts or new ideas, I don't know. I think the place where I learned the most in my industry is London. I think in London it's incredible. And in Barcelona for restaurants it's extraordinary also, you know.
Yeah, because in terms of products, for example, you said you were focused on Italy way of doing on the Italian way of doing a cappuccino, for example.
Yes.
So
Yes, but you have to be open to anywhere. But from the management point of view, the ones that are the best growing a business are the Americans by far, I would say.
And can you pinpoint exactly what do you think makes them the best?
The culture, for instance, the access to capital.
Okay.
The culture. What they admire are entrepreneurs that make things grow, you know.
People that make things happen.
And here people ask me, why do you want another one? I mean, you don't have enough. I mean, it's amazing that question.
Yeah.
So the conclusion of the story is get on it, hands-on work, and execute, right?
Exactly. And it's what, as I said before, there are many things as an entrepreneur that you have to do and you don't like, but when you put everything on the balance, I wouldn't change it for anything. You know? I hope I'm not gonna be work for anyone else in my life. I mean.
I hope that at home people are inspired by you and have learned from today's webinar. I hope everyone has enjoyed, and thank you so much for being here. It was a pleasure to have you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys. See you.
Yeah.